What's up, everybody? This is the last regular house groups of the year, which is wild to me. I can't believe another year of groups has come to a close, but I want to say thank you for being a part of this. I really do believe we're built to do life and faith together and that we are better together, so thanks for investing your life in a group. For the last couple weeks, we've been in this series called A Fork in the Road, talking about how our lives are ultimately a series of choices that we make, and at every decision point, we find an enemy ready to tempt us to go in the wrong direction. And temptation is ultimately an invitation to choose what feels good now instead of what is good later. And that's what we get offered at every decision point, a pathway toward what feels good in the short term rather than what is beneficial for our lives and our futures and the plans God has for us in the long term. And temptations come in various forms. Over the last couple of weeks, we've talked about how there are private temptations and public temptations. When we're alone, we're tempted, often in the form of a craving, to chase what feels good now because nobody's watching and nobody will notice. That's how the devil tempted Jesus in the wilderness. He was starving, he'd been fasting for 40 days, no one else was there, and the devil said, hey, satisfy this craving by turning these rocks into bread. And Jesus responded by saying, there's a hunger in me deeper than my stomach. I killed that craving. I don't need it. And so then the devil took him to a very public place, the temple in Jerusalem, was like, hey, show everyone that you're the Messiah by jumping off of here. And what the devil was doing then was trying to play on insecurity and identity. And often it's the same for us. Our public temptations have to do with our deepest insecurities. The places where the enemy's going to try to get us to doubt that we are who God has already promised us we are. And I challenged us on Sunday. I'm going to challenge you again in groups tonight to think through the places in your life where you are most vulnerable in this season to temptation, both privately and publicly. Think through the stuff that could get you, when you come to a fork in the road, to take the shortcut toward what feels good now instead of choosing what's right and what is good later. Because, as I said on Sunday, sometimes our vulnerability to temptation has more to do with our level of surprise than it does with our level of strength. God promises us we have the strength to stand up under any temptation that ever comes our way. And sometimes when we see temptation coming, we're better equipped to avoid it than when it just gets us out of the blue and we didn't know that it was going to be there. And so it's valuable to take stock of our lives, to look at the dashboard of our own lives and ask some questions like, hey, where are the warning lights? Where are my vulnerabilities? What are the cravings that could be used when no one's looking to tempt me into taking the wrong road? What are the insecurities in me where the devil's going to whisper that I am not who God has already said that I am? And just knowing those, it's not a fail-safe. It doesn't mean you're never going to be tempted. It doesn't mean you're never going to make the wrong decision. All of us are going to do that on a fairly regular basis, but knowing what temptations are coming gives us a better handle on how to avoid them. And the other thing I think is critical when it comes to avoiding making wrong choices at the forks in the road is knowing who we are. Like, identity is more crucial than most of us recognize, because when we remember who God says we are, we're able to live out of that identity, and we don't feel the need to prove it to anybody else. Like, you don't got to demonstrate to the world who you are when you know who God says you are to him. And so God says that you are forgiven and you are loved and you are chosen and you are accepted and you are a part of his family. And if you believe that and you live out of that identity, it helps you navigate every decision point along the way, where the enemy of your soul, who wants to steal, kill, and destroy your life and your future, is going to whisper that you aren't who God says you are. And I think, like, when we remember that, when we remember the identity God's given us, we're able to stand firm and we're able to make wise choices. And so my encouragement to you tonight is just to remember the words of 1 John 1:3. Behold, what love the Father has lavished on us that we should be called children of God, and that is what we are. So figure out in your life where the temptation points are. and remember in your life who God says you are. And you'll be able to make better decisions at every fork in the road you come to.